Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, I would like to present Shariah Audit Exercise of Islamic Financial Institution. First, let us define what is Shariah Audit. Based on Hamid defined Shariah auditing or Islamic auditing in the other perspective as systematic process of obtaining sufficient and appropriate evidence to form an opinion as to whether the subject matter, which is the processes, personnel, financial and non-financial performance, financial position, systems, marketing, products, transaction, contracts and others correspond with the criteria or the Shariah rules and principles which is broadly accepted by the Islamic community and to report to the stakeholders thereon. In other words, Shariah audit also refers to a periodic review meant to add value and increase the degree of compliance in connection to the IFI business activity with the main goal or objective of maintaining a sound and effective internal control system for Shariah compliance. Next, we go through what is the difference between the normal conventional audit and the Shariah audit. As for conventional audit, the conventional audit focuses on whether the financial statements are being prepared based on guiding principles as stated in the International Financial Reporting Standards or generally accepted accounting principles. Meanwhile, under Shariah audit, it focuses more on Islamic contracts, processes, system, transaction flows, personnel performance, as well as the financial statement. Under the conventional audit, the standard that they will normally use is either IFRS or the GAAP. Meanwhile, under the Shariah audit, the standards or rulings that they normally use are always Shariah principle and rulings, Islamic finance standard which is either issued by IOF or IFSP, as such IFRS and other GAAP that doesn't constitute any Shariah issues. As for the evidence, based on conventional audit, it is normally based on documented evidence obtained through rounds of observation, sampling method, and verification of documents. Meanwhile, under Shariah audit, evidence is normally based on rulings issued by the Shariah Advisory Councils of Bank Negara. Shariah verdicts are also known as fatwa issued by the fiqh academies in addition to any other conventional evidence. Who should perform the Shariah audit? As per the BNM Shariah Governance Policy Document 2019, a senior officer that is principally accountable and responsible for internal audit shall also be responsible for Shariah audit. The IFI must ensure that the internal auditors that involved in the Shariah audit exercise are qualified to perform internal audit and have the required knowledge on Shariah requirements applicable to the bank. It is also worth to note that the board may also appoint an independent external Shariah auditor to provide assurance on the effectiveness of the internal control measures as well as the implementation of Shariah governance in the bank. Okay, there are 4 phases of Shariah audit process. The first phase is called audit engagement planning. The second one is called audit execution or field work. The next one is called reporting audit results, and the final phase is called audit monitoring or follow-up. We will go to the phases in detail. For phase 1, which is audit engagement planning, it is meant to determine the scope of responsibility of the activity over the bank's operation, which is ensuring that a specific function in the bank works perfectly and in compliance with Shariah requirement. For example, the credit admin center who is responsible in the execution of akad by the customers. This phase is also meant under this phase we need to ensure that we perform Shariah risk profiling of the unit which to be audited, and it is meant we need to determine the extent of Shariah audit exercise to be conducted in terms of type of product, size of operation or loan size and others. It is also meant to determine the Shariah principles that are applicable for the product or processes identified above. For example, we need to list down the Shariah rulings from the SAC, PNM, resolution from the Shariah committees and others. We also need to determine whether any Shariah review has been conducted on the proposed area. If yes, the audit engagement plan should leverage on the work performed by the Shariah review. Then only we can prepare audit plan based on the above. The next phase is phase 2, which is audit execution. Under audit execution, the Shariah auditor need to prepare an audit program, audit procedures, and the extent of testing to be used to audit the proposed area. The audit program and audit procedure should be similar to the normal audit, such as interviewing staff and other relevant parties to obtain feedback on the activity processes and risks involved. Determine the extent of the internal control being implemented to mitigate the risk. Examine relevant documents and procedures to provide evidence that the control implemented works efficiently, and to ascertain the extent of Shariah compliance in the operation, product, and transaction based on the applicable standard and resolution. Phase 3 is reporting audit result. Once the audit work has been completed, the Shariah auditor needs to communicate the finding and the results of the audit to the auditee, which is the bank, internal audit committee of the board, and the Shariah committee as well. Once everything has been reported, then the Shariah audit team needs to work together with the audit operation and quality department on the follow-up to ensure that appropriate action is taken on the implementation and recommendation in relation to the audit findings above, or if any other resolution made by the internal audit committee and Shariah committee, to make sure that the IFI already taken into account all the appropriate action has been taken. That's all for me. Thank you.